What's the craziest crime you or somebody in your family has committed? My father, when I was still very young, used a fake name and pretended to be a wedding planner for a young couple. That young couple hired him since he seemed trustworthy and is an excellent liar, giving him access to their savings for wedding supplies and such that would be needed. Instead, he stole all of the money out of their account and then ran away with it. As far as I'm aware, he was never caught and the money was never returned to them. The worst part is that the poor couple never even got their wedding and had almost nothing left afterwards. In college we got a new printer and printed off a bunch of fairly convincing $20 bills, roughed them up, and used them at a bunch of fast food restaurants. Didn't realize how dumb it was until years later. My dad's cousin erased all family member names from a property deed except for his father's. The paperwork had been water damaged, so there was no easy way to tell what should have been there. Family law says that he also paid off some local politicians/office workers to make the new deed stand. A distant cousin got her terminally ill father to give her power of attorney and then stole all of his money so she wouldn't have to split it with her brother. Edit, don't worry. She did go to jail as a rush to clean him out involved a lot of fraud and forgery. Edit 2. Man. It is slightly depressing. How many of you have similar stories? What's up with people? A guy I went to school with in the 70s emptied his dementia-ridden father's life savings while he lived with him. 60 some years old and still stealing to support his coke habit. His sister found out and he did 5 years. Restitution, $80K. No way he'll live long enough to pay that back. And 8 years probation. My uncle sold Tim Allen the cocaine that got him sent to prison in the late 70s. My grandfather's cousin stabbed a waiter to death because he wouldn't let him use the employees only restroom in his restaurant. Is your grandfather's cousin Jack Henry Abbott? My friend got blackout drunk and stole a bulldozer that had the keys left in it. He turned it on and obviously didn't know how to drive it, so he just ended up making the scoopy part go up and down for a bit before the cops came. They actually let him go too. My husband's dad killed the guy who his then girlfriend was cheating on him with. He was supposed to serve a life term, but got out because of a clerical error. He did manual labor on a local park and apparently the guys who helped were supposed to get a reduced sentence. However, he was not supposed to. I think my husband talked about it once. Also, my husband's half-brother, same murderous dad, killed his business partner. He would have gotten away with it, however. He moved the body when he found out construction was going to start in that spot. And what were they going to build there? A prison. He's currently serving a life sentence. My husband has never met his half-brother. He also has 2 half-sisters from the same dad who are law-abiding citizens. I worked at a movie theater when Back to the Future was originally released. We used to take the entire movie ticket instead of tearing them and resell them to the next group coming in. The old theater was massive. Sat 600 people. We probably made about $15K between 2 of us in month or so. Adjusted for inflation, it's about $37K. We were the richest high school kids in our town. My grandpa wouldn't obey the train warnings. He would try and beat the train rather than wait. First time he got hit in his new convertible on the way to prom with my grandma. Had barely started on the payments and car was totaled. Luckily they were both okay. Second time was a little less reckless but still dumb. He was driving a semi and it broke down on the tracks. He kept trying to get the tractor trailer to start rather than lose his rig and load. Semi got hit by the train. Total loss and ducked up his back. An uncle robbed a bank, or was an accessory to the robbers. IDK. His brilliant escape when the police showed up was to go to the roof and jump off. He didn't do time. Just had to go to the hospital for a broken leg. I'll have to ask my mom when I get a chance. She knows the story better than I do. Cousin got busted robbing a bank. Got sentenced to jail. Proceeded to break out of jail with his cellmate and went on the run. Fast forward a few months and he's living in a hotel room with his cellmate. Cellmate orders a pizza to the room. Bad idea. Delivery guy recognized them and reported them to the police. They get arrested again, and shortly after my cousin killed himself in prison. My cousin had a wife and a kid and got into a nasty coke habit. We don't bring him up anymore. This was a couple of generations back, early 20th century, but there was this guy who was constantly getting drunk and harassing my great aunt. So, one of her male friends dressed up in an Easter bunny outfit, put a bat in its giant fake carrot, and beat the dude with it. He got away with it, but I'm sure it helped that half the community was waiting for the day the guy's liver finally gave out. Edit. Okay. One small clarification. The bat in question was a baseball bat, not the flying mammal, though that's certainly an interesting visual, and I can't say I'm sorry for my small role in creating that image. My dad told me he once snuck into a tire warehouse. He cut the alarm and came in through a window on the roof and stole a bunch of tires. Not sure if it should be considered a crime, but one of my great aunts was in an abusive marriage with a war vet who took to beating her and forcing her to play Russian roulette when he drank. One night she managed to rig the gun, so when he took his turn he blew his brains out. She wasn't charged. My dad got into a bar fight around 21 or so. Hit a guy so hard he killed him. He went to prison, of course, but while working along the road he stopped another prisoner that attacked a guard and tried to escape. My dad was released for that. He never drank after that, and if he got angry he just walked out of the house to cool off. He turned 81 a week ago and has the nicest, easiest going guy you would ever meet. He never judges anyone. He once said to me, "We all make mistakes." For the record, I only heard the story about tennis ago from my brother. He told him during a road trip. He lived in a small town and I have no idea what prison he was at or the official reason he was released, but considering it was probably around 61 over 62, they probably used whatever reason they wanted to for his release. My cousin in Youngstown, used to rob people selling goods on Facebook. Got caught after him and accomplice murdered a man over a PS3. Good times. My dad's side of the family grew up as New Hampshire Hicks. My grandfather was stabbed in 2 different bar fights and burned down an entire country club because he thought they were too stuck up. He was never caught and went on to earn a Bronze and Silver Star in the Korean War, but unfortunately lost his leg too. Edit. Since this is getting some attention, I thought I might add that my grandfather got his shit together, started a successful small business, and as a funny twist later joined that same country club as an old man. He never really felt welcome there, my dad said, though. They weren't really his kind of people. My mother-in-law and her ROTC friends once stole an actual tank from a military base way back in the 60s/70s. They were there on a field trip and they were finally stopped when they ran out of gas while driving it down the highway. According to my grandmother-in-law, she saw the whole thing going down on the news before she got the call and realized her kid was one of those joyriders. There's a video of it floating around on the internet somewhere. My uncle went to prison for chaining a cop to the back of his bike and driving down the highway. Edit. I feel like an edit is needed here because I want to say I'm not glorifying what my uncle did. I simply answered the question asked. This happened in the 1960s, before I was born. So I do not have many details due to the timing. In fact, he married into the family, and that side of my family is not very close at all. What I do know is my uncle was a part of a very violent gang. I know nothing about what led to the attempted murder. Yes, the cop survived somehow, so I do not know if the cop was good or bad. But I do not believe very many people, if any, deserve to be tortured in such a manner, or any manner. My uncle stole one of those oil candles from our table at a Hard Rock cafe once. When we got outside, he pulled it from his jacket with it still lit. My dad, when he was much younger and infinitely more stupid, regularly used to drink drive with his friends. It was the early 70s, and no one really cared. To hear him speak about it now, he can't believe how stupid he was. One night, he and his friend were out drinking. They heard there was a party going on at a pub across town and decided to head over. On the way, they go past a large club with a queue of people waiting to go in. My dad decides to show off a bit and pull a skid. He miscalculated, hit a curb, and flipped the car. Sliding down the road on his roof. The car stops. They get out and leg it. To the cheers of the people in the queue. They get the bus back home and immediately call the police to report the car as stolen. The police knew what had happened, but couldn't prove anything. My granddad accidentally shot his brother in the ass. He meant to shoot something out of his hand, but missed. Drunk. Genius. Hillbilly shit. Thankfully my dad married well, and I turned out alright. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.